Hello, everyone. Founder and CEO of Macrostax here. Excuse me. We also have Erik Aravelo. Did I say that right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you did.
Cool. So as some of you guys know who are on here, we are having some difficulties with his webcam. So unfortunately, you're not going to get to see him today, but he's still here. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. We realize that we are late, so we're just going to kind of make sure that we are respectful of your time and move through this in the same quick fashion that we were going to before. So we do have Erik joining us. He's the owner of Recode Fitness, and the reason we asked him to join us today is because he is a wealth of knowledge. Just by talking to him, you're like, okay, this dude knows what he's talking about, and he has been successful launching nutrition at his gym. So Erik, I just want to kind of give you the panel for a minute to just like talk to people about like who you are, how you got here, what you're up to, just like an informal introduction.
Yeah, first of all, welcome everyone. Apologies for being late. Thank you for having me, Lindsay. I appreciate this opportunity. I started my first gym in 2008. I opened my second in 2011, and then my third in 2014. Opened a restaurant right after that in 2015. Found out I was going to have a son, and I sold everything except for one gym, and that's where I'm currently at now, which is Recode Fitness. So I've been through the ups and downs that the fitness industry, has to offer. You know, the nutrition piece is a huge component, and I'm sure most of you guys know. And I was telling Lindsay some time ago that I would spend hours and hours writing diets for my clients, and that's how we got on this conversation. It's really been a breath of fresh air to have something that's so organized and laid out. But I'll kind of pause and kind of let you direct this thing. But
Yes, awesome. Well, welcome and thanks for the background. We have some slides just to kind of like guide us through this to make sure that everybody who is here kind of gets the most out of the Ready, Set, Launch, how to implement nutrition at your gym. So we're going to kind of pick your brain about like what you've done to be successful. So I just want to kind of touch on, we all know as gym owners and fitness professionals why nutrition is so important, right? We know it's 80% of the game, roughly speaking. We have members who come to us 5 hours a week. They are rock stars, they're dedicated, but they're still not losing weight and they're still not getting the body comp changes that they're looking for. They're just not progressing. And it's because the other, million hours of the week is really what's dictating whether or not they're going to see results. And, we do our jobs really well as gym owners and fitness professionals. We crush, the workout programming, but a lot of times people are failing to offer nutrition as well, which is just so important. And so that's like one of the reasons that we started Macrostax Team, was because I also am a former gym owner. I've had 2 CrossFit gyms. I was a personal trainer before that, a strength and conditioning coach for the University of Florida. And I've always been in the fitness field, and I think once I realized how important nutrition was, it changed the game for me personally. And then I would say the number one question I got as a gym owner was, what do I eat? And it left me feeling pretty frustrated because I knew how much time it took. You had to be experienced, there's laws in certain places, and I was just like, you can't pay me enough money, right, to like sit down with every one of my fitness clients and like dive in the way that they deserve, right? Because it's truly like it needs to be customized. And so I'm like, okay, how can I solve this problem? And that's how Macrostax came. And it's really built to scale, right? So it's built to help gym owners and fitness professionals offer nutrition to all of their clients if they want to. So we're kind of taking the load off of people's plates. So I'm not sure if there's anything that you want to add, Erik, just like in your experience, like why is nutrition so important for you at your gym? Like what is your experience with your clients?
well, I have a wide array of clientele. I have, of course, the weekend warriors, and then I have some Olympians that I'm getting ready for 2024. And nutrition is the missing link for everybody. It's hard, but it's not as difficult for someone to get up and go to the gym for an hour and follow some instructions, and you'll see it. They'll grind themselves into the ground. But if you ask them to monitor their eating, for the most part, it's a complete headache. It's almost asking them to, build you a rocket ship and get you to Mars. It's like, wait, what? It's like, no, I'm just asking you to eat some real food, because from my opinion and my stance, food is the most accessible drug that we have. And people have a really difficult time controlling that and understanding even the value, what a calorie is. People hear the word macronutrient and it's overwhelming. They don't understand or care to understand how to count these, how to look at calories, and they just get frustrated and they end up, losing weight when they start a gym in the beginning, and then they either plateau or gain it all back. So from my experience, it's just been it saved me a lot of time to be able to have a platform like this, because I was spending countless of hours monitoring people by hand and writing these custom diets. And no matter how hard people said they wanted them, they just refused to follow them after X amount of weeks.
Yeah, we all know that feeling for sure. So thanks for kind of sharing your experience with that. Just to kind of touch on again, probably most of you here are lacking one of these items. So the reason that people aren't offering nutrition is because they don't have the software options, they don't have the nutrition experience or expertise, they may not have, a dietitian on staff, they don't have time. There's a lot of reasons that people aren't offering it, and they're valid and they're very good reasons. And so that's, again, why kind of Macrostax Team came about and Erik adopted it. So I already kind of touched on why we launched and, why this software was built. So we're going to dive into more of like Erik's experience with launching nutrition at his gym. And after speaking with him for a few hours and just kind of getting to know him and his process for having a successful business, and this is just one piece of it, we kind of broke out your plan, Erik, into five different things here. So we want to start with the most important, which is price. And so I would like to pause here for a second. If you guys don't get anything else out of today, I think this is probably one of the more important parts of making sure that you have everything buttoned up to offer nutrition at your gym, or maybe you're an online fitness coach, whatever business that you're running. And I think that where people could go wrong is just not taking enough time to think about how this is going to be implemented into their business. We do the rest of the work, but basically, just so you guys know how Macrostax Team works, is you pay us to give custom macro plans to your clients, and then you can upcharge however you want. So Erik, why don't you just kind of talk a little bit about how you figured out how to price for this, how it's packaged and bundled. Just spend a little bit of time here, because this is one of the #1 questions that we get.
Yeah, this is the tough part for trainers, especially young trainers. You think about the price per month of what someone pays for membership, and the sales piece is a difficult one. What you ultimately want to do is you want to try and find a way to provide value and add on to your monthly membership. So if someone pays $200 a month for the training, you're looking for add-ons that bring value to the person that's going to raise their average monthly membership. And so I use it in some form of supplements. Now, I'm very particular on the supplements that I use, and what that does, it results in more people buying those supplements from me, because I know I'm just not going to bring in a bunch of junk. And when you establish that kind of relationship with your clientele, when you launch something like Macrostax, their antennas go up, because they're like, well, if he believes in it, and I know he's not going to just bring in whatever just to sell me on something, then they're more apt to take a harder look and consider it. So what I did is I ran a 6-week challenge, and I just looked at how to establish a higher price point on a monthly plan here. So I started off just to attract more people at a little bit lower rate. I believe I went for $15 to $18 for 3 months. And then if you didn't want to do a 3-month upfront purchase, then you would go to, it was $20. So it's really reasonable. Now what I'm doing is
so $15 to $18 is for what exactly?
that would be 3 months of the Macrostax app. And I really wanted to do just a hands-off approach because I've been writing diets for so long, and it was really frustrating for me to have people ask for these diets. And a lot of times I was doing them for free. So I was putting the work in, and it was yielding very little results as far as weight loss because people weren't following the plan. I was pulling my hair out. My original plan, like I said, was to try and stay hands off with this thing. But what I really realized is that it's very easy for me to monitor everyone's progress or lack of progress through this app. And it actually allowed me to be more hands-on with less time than what I was spending handwriting all these diets. So I was able to monitor everyone. And what that's really done now is added more value to me as a coach, because now it's easy for me to shoot a quick text to Sam and say, Sam, what's going on, man? I see you haven't tracked your macros here for the past day or two. Everything okay? And then that opens the door for a conversation for me to get, a little bit inside Sam's world. But so it was a 3-month commitment from 18 to, I think it was $15 to $18, and I started off at $20 a month, just month to month. And that was that approach was supposed to be hands off. Since then, I've had quite a few people that are really interested and jumped on board with it, and I'm going $25 now for 3 months up front, and then it's a $30 or $33. I believe it's $33 now on a month to month for the Macrostax app. And from what I'm seeing, I'll be able to probably bump that up here in the next few months.
Awesome. So you have written diet plans for like some heavy hitters, right? I mean, some Olympians and stuff like that. You've definitely done the work in the past. Is that right?
Yeah. So I did all the weight cuts for Aaron Pico, who's high level wrestler. He fights in Bellator. I did his diet nutrition from like 2015 to 2017, around that time frame. Helen Maroulis, who was the first woman ever to win a gold medal for the women in freestyle wrestling. I did all her weight cuts from 2014 to through the Olympics. And then Elena Pereskolnov, who was another Olympian wrestler. So Beneil Dariush, who fights 155 for the UFC. I was doing all his weight cuts and diet management as well. And honestly, it just got to the point where I didn't want to do it anymore. I mean, it was just too much. I'm more now on the side of the strength conditioning piece. So again, I'm going to come back to having Macrostax in my corner. It's been a game changer for me to bring back nutrition that's manageable, both in time and effort.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, so somebody like yourself who's like put in the work with writing these nutrition diet plans for all these people, you're just finding, I mean, I think we can all relate to a little bit. It's like at some point you just don't want to do it anymore, right? Like we love fitness, we love programming, and like that's just for most fitness professionals, that's a lot more fun than the nutrition side of things. So for somebody even like Erik, who has the experience and can do it, he's choosing, to even outsource with Macrostax because, like you said, you're saving time and energy, and you're actually able to kind of engage with them a little bit easier since we show, just for anybody who doesn't know, we actually show the team owners basically, or the gym owners, all of their clients. You can see into their food logs, you can see whether they're being compliant, are they signing in, are they logging, you know, are they hitting their macros and things like that. And there's a chat inside of Macrostax as well, so you can chat with your coaches and that sort of thing. So, you know, our goal is definitely to help people, you know, like yourself, Erik, to streamline this, even if you do have the expertise, right? So I think that that's interesting, just knowing that, you know, you can do it and you're kind of choosing to outsource it anyway. So that's awesome.
Well, and that was one of the frustrating parts. I know people that are in the fitness industry, one of their biggest reasons for getting into this is to help people. I mean, I think most coaches that I've come across generally want to help individuals. It's in their blood, it's in their nature. And when I have someone that, you know, would come in and we'd interview, because I interview everyone that comes into the gym. We do an assessment, and I talk to them, and I see, you know, how desperate they are to get their health back in line. And I can just rattle off the people I've worked with, and, you know, it's like, why wouldn't you listen to what I'm telling you to do? It's not that they don't want to listen to me, it's that they lack the discipline. And this is a technology-driven world right now. For some reason, when you put an app like this in front of someone's face, they just light up, and it's like now it's just natural to them for some reason. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, because if the way my mind is this, if you told me to eat half a blueberry, I'm gonna eat half a blueberry because the goal is a gold medal, right? That's just my mindset. But when you have an individual that's 300 pounds, you know, and I'm like, dude, look, we just make some slight adjustments. Here's some basic outlines. They can't even do that. I hand them this app, and all of a sudden they're excited to get the confetti when they hit the three thumbs for you know, targeting all their macros. It's the craziest thing, but it works. And honestly, it's honestly lessened my frustration. And I generally love working with people, but it's given me a lot more time for me to spend with my family. That's a huge upside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's huge. Okay, so I'm going to touch on the hands-off, hands-on, since you brought that up. So I would say that Macrostax can serve, whether you want to be super hands-off, you're like, I don't want to do it, I don't have the expertise, I don't have the time, whatever your reason is, that's kind of like what the software was built for. And then there's also the hands-on option. So if you are a nutrition coach, or you do like to interact with people as far as you know, the nutrition side of things goes, it just kind of helps you streamline that side of the business. So there is both options. I would say most of our clientele are mostly hands-off, but there's still a good portion that are hands-on as well. And so the reason that we differentiate hands-on versus hands-off is because if you are hands-off, you charge a little bit less. So for instance, anywhere from $15 to $40 a month is a kind of a good range. I would say most people are around the $20, $25 mark, and that's per month per person. And so that's roughly around like what we were charging people just to buy the Macrostax app off like from us directly instead of a gym owner. And that seems to like kind of fly off the shelves. We've been selling it for 6 years. Nobody bats an eye. They're willing to pay it. The value's there. And then the hands-on, if you are a hands-on coach, you need to be charging like a lot more. And it's because your time is valuable. So I would say that's one area that people kind of struggle with, is because they're like, oh, I don't want to ask my clients to pay more, but it's like, no, your time's valuable, and this is really important. And if they do this, they're going to get results, because like you said, Erik, we're in this business to help people, and it's just like encouraging them, right? So that's kind of like how we decide whether or not you should be charging over $100 or kind of around that $20 mark. The other thing I want to touch on real quick is the building in versus adding on. So Erik is doing the add-on approach, which I think is the most appropriate, and I would say people are the most successful with this, which just means that you're asking people, do you want to do this program? If so, it costs X, and you just add it to their, you know, their membership costs, and it's just like a per person basis. And I think the reason that works best is because people are more invested if they're like paying for it in conjunction with their fitness programming. The building in approach can be, there is a rhyme and reason for that. I would say if you're trying to increase your rates, and you want to justify it, or you're just trying to add more value to your membership price. So some gym owners will actually just add it like they'll, instead of charging $150, they're now going to charge $160 a month for all of their clients. And it's because now they offer nutrition. And that does make a lot of extra revenue. It probably makes even a little bit more. But the problem is people aren't as engaged, so they're not really getting the results that they're looking for. So that's why I always kind of tell people to do what Erik's doing, which is the add-on approach. So
a great way to build this is anyone new to your gym that comes in. What I've started doing now is I charge $650 for 6 weeks, and there's a series of values that I touch on. I include some Zoom calls that I do with the members, because I don't get to see all my members in my classes all the time. So I'll hop on a Zoom. One is the Macrostax, and I just go down these list of things that build value. And to this point, no one's batted an eye. I'm thinking maybe my closing rate now is 90% at a rate of $650 with a 6-week introduction. And after that, things go back to a monthly of $200 plus the Macrostax, and depending on what price plan you fall in with, you want to pay up front for it. But to this point, there hasn't been one hiccup with that plan. So if you build the value and you do a good job at it, they'll pay, and it helps out. Everything helps.
So can you, go back through like exactly what you're charging for how long? If anybody wants to take notes, this is kind of like, this is working really well. If I was still a gym owner, I'd probably kind of do this bundle package that you're talking about. So if you just want to walk people through again, like what exactly that looks like.
So anyone that comes into the gym, I meet with them one-on-one. I'm pretty much the person that's going to close. And this is, I don't know how many new gym owners we have on this call, so I'm going to talk to everyone like they're completely new to this business. So if this is old hat for you, just bear with me. But I want to make sure, in the beginning for me, selling was the last thing I wanted to do. I'm passionate about helping individuals, but at some point you got to realize I have a family, everyone's got things that they need to take care of, lifestyle choices, etc. So I wanted to build value. So I'm the person that's in front of everyone that comes in here for a one-on-one meeting. And I lay out the format of the gym. I lay out all the reasons why we're different than the gym around the corner. And one of the things that we do is we do an assessment, and right in the assessment, I go into nutrition. I talk about the difficulties that people have with nutrition. It's not a mystery. I mean, the one line I would really like to say is just go outside and look around, and you can now see, you don't have to look at a report to see the obesity, situation is getting out of hand. It's evident. It's right in our face. And nutrition is a huge component to battling that. So I stress a good amount of importance on why nutrition is important. I give them a little rundown on macros. I have everything hooked up onto a TV, so I can mirror it from my phone, and I go through the app. I give them a breakdown, show them how simple it is, and then we go into what it costs really to join the gym for the first 6 weeks, and that's $650 for 6 weeks, and then you roll over to a month-to-month. I've yet to have one person quit the gym after 6 weeks and not continue on, and they love the app. People that were not into dieting before will take to this, and people that were having a hard time with macros, like there's some people that I've had that have tried to understand what it's about, how to count them. This thing is so bulletproof. It's why they come to you. People come to you as a fitness professional because they don't want to think about what to do. They want someone to guide them, and that's exactly what this thing is. It's doing it all for you except eating the food.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that that strategy that you have, first of all, that's really impressive that like you don't have anyone like canceling after that 6 weeks. That's like, you know, almost unheard of. But I know that people buy into what you say, which is one of the reasons we have you on, you know, on today, because like when you put something out, it's because you believe in it and you know it's going to help them and you're in the business for helping people. So it kind of brings us to our next slide, which is around positioning it. And like you said, you know, speaking with authenticity around what you're putting out, like and anyone listening, like do your homework. We're not saying like Macrostax, you know, is the only way. Obviously we think it's the best way, but you know, do your homework and go out there and look around, see what's out there, right? And you have all these different options that you can choose from. Not a ton of software options, but there are, you know, dietitians and nutrition coaching and, you know, spending a bunch of time. And I think that there's a rhyme and reason for that, but most people are finding that it's just not scaling in the way that they want to. And then when you find something like Macrostax that works for you and you dive into a little bit more about our philosophy and kind of how we set up plans and why it's the best way. And if you speak that way to your clients, like Erik said, they're going to sign up and they're going to stick around and they're going to stay because they trust you, right? It's not that they trust us, they trust the gym owner, the fitness professional, the personal trainer. And so, you know, once you find something, you know, like they're gonna sign up for it. That's not a question. It's more or less just like doing a little bit of your homework first, making sure that you understand the philosophy and believe in it. So I know Erik, you mentioned that you were able to charge $600 or $550, I think, for new members. Like, do you get that up front and then like they roll into this like monthly like fitness plan with you plus nutrition if they're looking for it?
Yeah, so what I do is I do my best to get it up front. You want a commitment up front. And if someone's really hungry to change their life, that's a very small amount of money to pay, because in the long run you're saving them from a bunch of health issues down the road. And that's one way you want to present this, because it's absolutely 100% true. The more in tune they are with their overall health and wellness, the less time they're going to be spending worrying about diabetes and everything else that comes with being overweight and out of shape. So the actual bundle is $650 for me. And I see on the second thing is familiar size with the platform. That's huge. As the owner or head trainer, whatever your position is at your facility, dive into this thing. Even if you don't know anything about nutrition, there's so much information in this app that can teach you. You just got to get in there. And my coaches, I have one coach now that is so in love with this app. She's at info at Recode. She posts everything she eats, how long it takes to make. If you get your coaches excited, they're the ones that are really doing the selling now for me, because they train with my classes as well, and they're always talking about the foods they're eating, and now they're sharing the recipes. You know, one thing we did was we had people bring in food from the recipes that Macrostax has on their platform, and people loved it. They couldn't believe. The people that were on the fence, like, wait, I can eat this? And it was okay, I'm ready to go. You know, there's a lot of ways for you to incorporate and introduce this to your members that they'd be foolish not to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Okay, so next is talking a little bit about the plan. So what I want to highlight here is integrating this into your business. And I want to hear kind of, Erik, your thoughts on this, like just like how important is it to make sure that this is like a part of what you do versus just like, I think I see some people go wrong and it's just like an afterthought. And so I know that you've done a great job with this. So like kind of what was your initial plan when you first signed up? You're like, okay, you know, how did you get this to market at your gym?
The biggest thing is for making people understand that nutrition and fitness go hand in hand. I mentioned earlier in the call that people will go in there and literally kill themselves in a workout, and then go home and just destroy everything that they work for with at the dinner table. So it's really about coaching the mindset. You know, learning how to lose weight and get strong is all over the internet. Any Google search and any one of those questions, how to get strong, how to lose weight, there's billions and billions of hits. What these people need are coaches, actual individuals that will take the time to express to them the importance of having these two pieces come together. And that's why AI will never replace the coach. It's because we can't do what we do. We're part therapist and part coach. So when you're talking to your clients and enrolling them in the Macrostax app, you got to stress how important these two pieces are coming together and get them to commit for at least 3 months, because it's going to take them at least a week or two to understand the language and to get into how much food most of them actually have to eat in order to lose weight. Most of the metabolisms are so fried from eating so little and working out so hard that they've plateaued and their metabolism is just trashed. So one of the biggest complaints I hear, and it's not even really a complaint, it's I can't believe I have to eat this much. And then the second thing is I can't believe I'm still losing weight. And it's a real eye opener for people, and they get a value and education on the value of food. So when I'm enrolling this with people, one, I stress how important fitness and nutrition are. Two, you got to give them a little bit of education on macros. And then throughout that 3 months commitment, get them up for at least minimum 2, but you try for 3 because it's going to take some time. It allows you, especially for new people in your gym, to massage the relationship and really build a good rapport and let them understand how valuable they are to the gym and the community at the gym, because you need to do some coaching in this. And going back to what I said earlier, understanding this app, like going in there and doing it yourself. I was carnivore for years before Macrostax. And because I enrolled it, I started to play with it beforehand. So I wanted to know the ins and outs. And I haven't come off Macrostax. Actually, this is what I've been. I come off carnivore, and now I'm reintroducing carbs. And I forgot how good I feel actually with my training now with carbs. So big thank you to Macrostax. But yeah, it's a great way to build that rapport, and it's important to get them, I think, on a 2 to 3 month upfront plan, because it allows you to do some coaching and they buy in long term with your program.
Yeah, and just to build on what he's saying, it's like, I think the people who are in this mindset, right? Most of us, like, we have clients who are like, I just want to lose, 20 pounds in 2 weeks. And it's like, that's not going to happen. And if it does, it's not healthy, right? So speak it, like Erik said, speaking to your clients about this is like a long-term thing, and you don't have to be perfect, and it's okay for it to take time, because guess what? A year from now, if you've been sticking to this, like, your life is going to be changed because of how it's making you feel and how it's making you look, versus just taking all these like quick fixes. And I think that's what we get frustrated with as fitness professionals, is just like, we see our clients going down a path that's just not healthy. And so framing this as like, hey, if you do the year up front, you get this discount, right? Or if you do 3 months up front, you get a discount. And so it's a price incentive, and it works. We've been doing it for a while. But in addition, it also sets their expectations for, hey, I'm in this for the long run. This is not just like a quick fix type situation. And I think that the way that you position it and the way that you're planning this is really, really important, so people actually have success. And again, we're setting their expectations correctly from the get-go. So that's why we kind of, like on the slide, we're just talking about, make sure you have the option do a year or to do 2 or 3 months, like Erik said. You always have the month option if you want it, but really trying to get people to push for the longer commitment. Because I mean, as we know with our fitness businesses, if people sign up for more than just a month at a time, we know for sure that the retention rate with those clients is going to be higher, right? Because we have more time with them, and they're more committed. Financially speaking too, there's something to be said about like putting a dollar on something, right? It means, hey, I'm willing to spend money on this, which means I'm going to be committed to it. Moving on. So promoting it, which, I would love to hear, Erik, just like kind of how did you promote this? Like, are you an email person? Is it social? Is it word of mouth? Like, talk to us about how you actually promoted this and launched this for the first time.
What I did was I put together basically a meeting at my gym, and I invited all my members to come down. And I have a couple TV screens in the gym. So what I did was I just screen shared or streamed, whatever you call it, up on my TV, and I walked them through the app. I talked to them. One of the biggest components that will open people's eyes to this is the accessibility to nutrition and health nutritional coaches through Macrostax. They really love that option that they have access to someone with a ton of knowledge. And I always tell them, you guys can always ask me, but you actually have access to people out here that can answer all your nutritional needs through this app. So that was a big eye opener for them. But I sat everyone down in my gym and went through the app to show them how easy it was to use. And right then and there, people were just all in. The individuals that did not attend that meeting, I set up a Zoom, and I had another meeting, and we talked and discussed about it, and then I sent out another email, and I probably did about three touches, one in person, one on Zoom, and then another just overall breakdown on through an email. And from there, I went into a 6-week challenge. And that helped a lot because they've got 6 weeks to kind of go in there and figure it out.
Do you have any ongoing touch points? So I know that you did the in-person, the Zoom, and then like an email or two to initially launch this. Is there any kind of like reoccurring, do your clients hear about, maybe they don't sign up right away, right? Is there anything that they hear about this later on?
So I don't know if the people on this Zoom or on this meeting are group or not, but if you're for any group coach, you know that you have those people in your groups that are, I would say, probably like the leaders, almost the captains of the group, the people that are a little more outspoken and driven. Those are the individuals you really want to get into this. And then what you have them do is you start to, you work with them. So I have this one young lady named Marisa. She loves this thing, and she'll talk about the recipe she's making. And when people hear about that, they're like, wait a second, I can have that and I can have this. And then the next step is to even do like a potluck. So we did a in-gym potluck as well, where we had 5 or 6 people make some of the recipes that were on the Macrostax app, and they had they put on what the ingredients were, the macros, and then how long it took to make. And I try to keep the recipe under 15 minutes because everybody is busy, or at least wants to appear busy nowadays. So it was a good way to introduce the food, and people are really blown away by what they can actually get away with. I don't like to use the word diet anymore. I prefer to use the word nutrition. And when people start talking about their food and their diet, they think they have to eat chicken and rice or they're limited. When they're on this app, they're shocked. It's a great way to introduce this to individuals.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising how many people are like, whoa, I can eat this. Like it was life changing for me. Like you said, Erik, I also didn't eat a lot of carbs prior to Macrostax. And then, I mean, it was like life changing once I started introducing carbs again, like I feel great, I get stronger, I'm also leaner, and I'm like, this is like your body needs it, right? And so I mean, there's just like this freeing feeling once you actually like see it happen within yourself too. So, and just for anyone who's interested, we do have a launch guide. It has basically like email templates, social media, reels, you know, before and afters, flyers you can print out. I mean, you name it. It's like basically a 14-day launch guide. So we have all the content for you. You can slap your logo on it if you want to, and promote it that way at your gym if you are looking for easier ways. Yeah, to promote it. And then I know we're kind of running out of time, so I just want to touch, lastly, on just the participation. So I know that you ran a nutrition challenge, and I would say we do have a nutrition challenge feature within Macrostax, and it's kind of all set up for you. It is customizable, so people can kind of make it, you know, however they want to. But it does make it pretty easy to kind of just like plug and play and run challenges, because we know that, you know, they can be time consuming. So again, our software helps with that. But the reason that we have that as part of our app is because we know that it boosts engagement. We know that you can get a ton of people to sign up at once. We know people are going to be more successful because when they have a buddy doing it with them, they're just more successful. It's just the nature of how humans are wired, right? And then in addition, you can make more money, right? So I think, you know, we've kind of touched on throughout this entire webinar, like, you know, most importantly, helping our clients, because that's why we're in this business. But number two, you know, we also want to make money off of it, and the nutrition challenge is the way to do that. So I would just love if you could just speak to the nutrition challenge that you ran a little bit, tell us about it, and then we'll kind of wrap up.
Yeah, I ran a 6 weeks. I have a way to test body fat here. If some gym owners don't, it may be a good way to locate a facility, maybe there's a NutriShop or something that has a body fat testing, and that's a good way to co-promote with maybe a nutrition shop or some kind of facility that can test of body fat, because it brings more value to your 6 weeks. I think 6 to 8 weeks is about the length that I like to do with the challenges, but we incorporated that. We did a bonus workout that was led by me. So it was 3 training sessions a week plus a bonus workout. And that was a great way for individuals to really connect with me again. My wife has some health issues, so I don't get to stay around my facility at late night too much anymore. So I got to see and reconnect with a lot of people. And what I noticed is that through this 6-week piece, it brought people that I haven't been seeing, you know, they just got time to reconnect, and it strengthened, you know, the connection between me and my members. And this app, I'm not joking, has brought me so much more than I've had in the past. It just makes me smile when I talk about it, and I'm talking about this to everybody now. So if you structure a proper 6-week challenge together, and then you can keep rolling that into the next one, to the next one. So basically what I did was 6 weeks, most of my people were in a cut phase. I call it a cut phase. Basically it's nutrition deficit. Hang on one second.
No problem. I know we're just over time.
Yeah,
here.
sorry, it's something in my ear. So if you do a nutritional deficit for 6 weeks, then I changed their calories on the Macrostax app to maintenance for 4 to 5 weeks. And then we went into another 6-week challenge. So now what I'm doing is I'm dancing between, we'll call like a power endurance phase, where it's 6 weeks of a little bit more high intensity, more cardio work, and we come out for 4 to 5 weeks. But I'm using the Macrostax app to change their calories. So I'm keeping their metabolism firing, and they're not spending so much time in just a caloric deficit trying to lose weight, burning up their metabolism. So it's broadened individuals to kind of a new light and going, oh, wait a second, I just can't spend all this time cutting calories and it's priming their metabolism. So it's an awesome way for these guys to build a good relationship with food, not get frustrated because they plateau. People are still dropping weight now, so it's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that you do that strategy. So he's basically saying he puts them in a deficit and then brings them back to maintenance for a while, and kind of the workouts are associated with that is depending on the goal. And so you can do that all within the app, which is awesome. So in closing, this is just kind of a question that I always ask, and this does not have to be nutrition related. It's just, if you were to give one piece of advice to the fitness professionals who are listening today, since you've been in the game for a while, what is that one piece of advice that you would give them?
I would say sit down today and think about what your value is. What are you worth? Because it's one of the hardest questions that I had to answer. Like, I almost felt guilty at some times for charging someone $80, $90 in the beginning. Now, for me, I don't get off the couch unless I'm really making $145. And the reason why I justify that is because I have a 5-year-old, 6-year-old son that I want to spend as much time as possible. And I still feel I'm getting ripped off, but I love my family, and that's where my mind is at most of the time. So I think the biggest thing for young coaches or any coaches is to understand their value and understand your time is worth something. When you start to think about that question and you can answer it, then you understand how important you are to the people that you're coaching. And you're part therapist. We're not just strength coaches and fitness instructors. There's a lot that goes into what we do. And again, I don't know how many of these coaches are young or old, but anyone in this industry, you have to be a great coach. You have to understand the psychology of people, and that's really what you're coaching. Because like I said, you can Google how to lose weight, and there's a billion responses. You can Google how to get strong. There's a billion responses. But why are they choosing you? They're choosing you for a reason. So understand your value and don't be afraid to ask what you're worth.
I could not agree with that more. So figure out your value, charge what you're worth. And that's the closing advice from Erik. So thank you so much for joining us today. Sorry again, guys, that we got off to a slow start here, and unfortunately the camera wasn't on, but that's okay. This was our first webinar with a guest. We will be having more in the future, so hopefully you guys tune back. But thanks again, Erik, for taking the time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.